Hey everyone, Tankenstein here, and welcome to Stock to Spade. In this episode, I'll be showcasing the Russian MiG-21 Bis. This is a currently ranked 7 battle rating 11.0 fighter for the Russian air tech tree, and is currently an optional vehicle that you can unlock in the same folder as the MiG-21 SMT, which thus makes it perfect for Stock to Spaded. As always in Stock to Spaded, I take these through 3 matches, the first match being fully stock, second match being about halfway spaded, and the third match being fully spaded, so that you can see exactly how this vehicle progresses again from stock to spaded, and to see if you want to actually grind for it or not, how difficult the grind is, and if it's worth it once you fully unlock everything for this plane. That being said, if you don't mind, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, especially if you like this type of content. But with that being said, let's get into the video. So here we are fully stock with the MiG-21 Bis, and you might be saying to yourself, well, Tankenstein, how can this be fully stock? You're carrying 4 missiles. Well, that is the trick that Gaijin wants you to believe, that you can only carry 2 missiles with this fully stock, but that's not true. You can use customizable loadouts, and use, of course, the 2 R13M1s that you get stock, as well as 2 R3Rs or R3Ss on the inside pylon. So that's pretty damn cool. Now, the R3Rs and R3Ss, I've got the Rs, by the way, they are not really useful at and around this BR. They're more just for kind of show, but also, in theory, you can get yourself a kill against a bot or something of that nature. Also, when it comes to this plane, you might be saying to yourself, well, that's not a bad lineup, or that's not a bad team composition that you have, and to be honest with you, for the most part, you get into complete up tiers when you are playing with this. So I have to face a lot of F-16s, F-14s, MiG-29, similar planes, and it is not fun. Probably around 80% of the time, as a matter of fact. So this is kind of an uncommon occurrence, but I'm pretty happy with it. So as I said, let's go ahead and see what we could do. The performance on this aircraft is not that bad in a down tier, even stock. In an up tier, though, it is definitely lacking. So that said, let's start the fight. Okay, so we have an F8U2 here. I'm going to go launch an R3R on him. I don't think that this is going to work. Wouldn't that be so cool if it did? I got a kill with an R3R. Oh my goodness. Well, that's worth just... That's... The entire gameplay could stop right now. That was worth it to me. Okay, I got a crit on him, which I'm kind of happy with. I feel like there's someone... Okay, yeah, we had that guy there. An A7E, that's not necessarily a bad sign. But is he going to hit the ground? He might. So you want to get up a little closer. Now, R13s, they're actually not very bad. The thing with R13s is that they have a pretty decent range, but that's pretty much it. So, I'm going to hope that I don't get shot out of the sky here. I want to go for this F5 if I can. He is definitely struggling. And I don't know how I didn't just hit him, but I'm pretty lucky. I'm going to probably die here. Oh, wow. Look at this. This might be kind of lucky, but I do not have any anything else here. So, I'm going to have to get behind this guy. With any luck, I should be able to do that, and I won't. So, I am Tostitos right now. So, that said, let's get into the fully, or halfway spaded match, rather. But when it comes down to it, ultimately, this plane, it's not terrible fully stock in a down tier. The problem is, down tiers are not going to happen all too often, and even still, as you can see, fully stock, the performance just is not good enough to be able to come out of the turns, because the turns in this thing bleed your energy like no tomorrow. And so you really need a really powerful power plant to be able to get out of that, but again, fully stock, you just don't have that power. So again, let's get into the halfway spaded match, see what we could do, and hopefully we have a slightly better match, but not too terrible, all things considered. 2 kills, 1 death, not too bad. So here we are about halfway spaded with the MiG-21 Bis, and I would say probably the biggest upgrade that I've seen thus far on this, and the reason why I made a beeline for this upgrade, it's going to be the R60M, as one could imagine. These are all aspect missiles. You get 6 of them whereas before you were limited to up to 4 missiles. So not only are these all aspect, but they have better maneuverability. They're, you know, you get more of them. It's just an overall win. Now, of course, they do have a little bit, or not a little bit worse, they have substantially worse explosive filler mass in them, which is a real pain in the tuchus. But, you know, I mean, when you have a more accurate missile, in theory, the lower explosive filler mass doesn't really matter as much. Now, additionally, we do have much, much better performance on this thing. I mean, like, it is, again, as I said in the stock portion of this video, I no longer feel like I am kind of swimming in, like, the middle of a, like, I no longer feel like I have absolutely no energy coming out of a turn, which is really, really nice. Okay, this guy clearly knows I'm here. He's going to start, yeah, flaring, because, of course, that's what they do. Got a nice crit on him. Man, I love A-10s. I love them so much. Not playing them. But I do love seeing them, because they do things like that. It's just a whole lot of fun. So you want to, like, pick off planes similar to this. Oh, is he? Okay, I got the kill. Nice. So, yeah, you want to pick off planes that are obviously a lot slower than you. Because, well, it's just a whole lot of fun. We have an F5 up here, or an F4, rather. My apologies. I should be able to get that hit. Typically, I do not like to, I don't typically like to do that, where I just kind of do a head-on missile for no reason. But in this instance, it kind of worked out. So, let's keep on moving. That MiG-21 is going that way. Hopefully, no one else is following. You know what? I'm going to try to do this. Now I'm going to turn up. Go for that. Let's see. This is going to be like one of those rare opportunities. Oh, I got the kill against a B-29, or B-24, rather. Ooh, I got a triple kill! I got a triple kill! What the hell? And I still have 2 R-60s left? No way! No freaking... Okay, I'm about to die here, though. Anyways, so this plane does improve a lot, especially in a down tier. I mean, like, triply so in a down tier when you are using these, you know, these R-60s. Like, in an up tier, it still makes a pretty hefty difference, don't get me wrong. But in a down tier, at least, this is a much, much, much better aircraft, and then some. Oh, man, I didn't get the kill against the AV-8C. That sucks. He got hit right by a missile. I would have gotten that Saab, but I have no ammunition left. I got 6 kills and an assist? Holy guacamole. This is one of the best matches I've ever had in any MiG-21 Bis at any point in this game's history, even when these were like top dog. Wow! Okay, anyways, so as you can see, there's a big improvement in terms of performance when this thing has its missiles, and when it has its performance upgrades as well. Like I said, I've got the engine, I've got the G-suit, I've got wings as well. So it is, give or take, around halfway, again, spaded, at least in terms of performance. So it does have an upgrade in that regard. But realistically speaking, the biggest upgrade that you're going to get on this aircraft when it comes to RRB, by any stretch of the imagination, it's going to be the R60Ms. And they see a much bigger increase in, this plane sees a much, much larger increase in effectiveness in a down tier as compared to an up tier. In up tiers, of course, R60Ms are still useful, and they're way better than R13 M1s. However, they're not going to be as much of a surefire here. And also, I did get a freaking missile hit and kill against a World War II bomber, so bear that in mind. I mean, realistically speaking, this is probably just 5 kills, 1 assist, but I mean, then again, I could have gotten the kill against that AV-8C. It was just a split second where I didn't get it. But regardless, you know, ultimately, we are still looking at a much, much better aircraft. I would say around 80% of this improvement in how well I'm doing is because of those missiles. But the performance, the engine and all that, still a huge thing. And it really takes you out of those lows that are created once you get all your energy lost. That said, let's get into a fully spaded match. So here we are, finally fully spaded with the MiG-21 Bis, and probably the best way to put it is that it's almost kind of like night and day, this aircraft, when you're talking about up tiers versus down tiers. Up tiers are not that fun, as one could imagine. This plane just does not do all that well in them. It's not terrible by any means. Am I gonna somehow get that? Nah, I'm not. It's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. However, it does suffer a bit in terms of just overall effectiveness. Can I get that hit? That would be so nice if I could, right? If this game just gave me a win once in a while. I should be able to get this, though. And so... Okay, sorry if I'm not really focusing here. It's mainly just because this is pretty damn wild. Let's see if I can lock on... A lot of the time, you're going to want to aim very favorably for these people, if that makes any level of sense. Kind of pull out of the gimbal range as much as you can. Now, that said, in an up tier, this thing is okay. Like, you're going to get yourself, at least in my experience, Jesus. I typically get, like, I don't know, 3 kills. Not terrible, not great. It's just reasonable. You know, and that's in a decent enough match. In a bad match, you know, I mean, maybe a kill, maybe an assist. In a down tier, as you saw it in that last match, I did very, very well. To the point where it's again, kind of like night and day. Not going to steal that kill. It might be tempting, but I'm not going to steal that kill. And so, you know, you're talking about the difference of fighting players who sometimes have very few, if any, countermeasures. Players that might be subsonic, like an A-10. Players that, you know, a lot of the time they're premiums, and so they legitimately don't know what they're doing at top tier. They're buying an F4S and, like, they're level 2. And so, like, they've got no clue what they're doing in War Thunder, and yet, here you are, you know, shooting at them, fighting them. And that's not all premium players, of course, but it is pretty stark. Whereas top tier, there aren't really premium players so much. I mean, of course, you're still going to fight your occasional F4S. You're still going to fight, like, those players, and that's fine. But, again, for the most part, I want to lead into that one. Hopefully I can breadcrumb it, and I can. I'm going to probably die here, though, unless I can help it. But I did get 3 kills, so not all too bad. But in an up tier, and again, my apologies if I was a little bit disjointed in my speech here. I record literally everything live, unless otherwise noted. So unless I say, oh, well, you know, I had to go back and record over this, that's one thing. But this match is obviously, hopefully it's obvious, it's recorded live. Now that said, in a down tier, this thing plays incredibly. And by the time you get around three quarters of your mods, you're pretty much almost all the way spaded in terms of your overall performance and missiles. I recommend going for the R60Ms first and foremost. Those are your biggest upgrades, followed by maybe the G-Suit and the engine, and then the rest of your performance upgrades based on how big of a boost in performance they give you. I mean, of course, also getting flare and chaff along the way, but realistically speaking, what I would just say to do is keep it tight with a lot of these enemies, because this plane is first and foremost going to be close quarters only. It has no options outside of R3Rs, which are not long range at all. It's got no option for any sort of range outside of R3Rs, and R3Rs are mediocre. I would only put on the R60s with this thing, fight close range, take enemies by surprise, make sure that whoever you're trying to shoot at, whether it's an F-14 or an A-10, they don't know that you're there. And if it's a plane like the A-10 that are, sometimes they just continually fire off flares because they have so many, regardless of the fact if there is an enemy nearby or not, you have to determine when you're going to gun them down. I mean, I've gotten decent enough with the gunnery on this aircraft, and you really have to make sure that you are gunning down the correct opponents. Make sure that, I would say, anywhere between 1 kilometer and 1.5 kilometers. If you are kind of perpendicular to the enemy, that's a great time to use your R60s. And always, just hammer onto the afterburner, because that is a hugely important thing with this. Speed is life, and there is almost no plane where that is more obvious than the MiG-21 Bis, because once you get into those turns, your speed drops like a brick. So you really want to keep up your speed as soon as you're getting out of those turns. Sometimes when you are getting outside of a hard turn, you are at low energy. A lot of the time that might be a good idea just to use a precautionary flare. But overall, again, do I recommend this aircraft? Yes. In a down tier, it's one of the most fun aircraft to play in War Thunder. In an up tier, it can be a bit frustrating sometimes, but even in up tiers, there are few planes that do close quarters combat as well as the MiG-21 Bis. And if you play your cards right in those up tiers, you still have a fighting chance. So that being said, thanks so much for watching. If you don't mind, please like, comment, subscribe. But either way, thanks again. I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.